The world's last ocean liner, the Queen Mary 2, has rendezvoused with her namesake, the famous 1930s liner RMS Queen Mary, in a spectacular early morning Royal Rendezvous off Long Beach, California. G'day, Chris Frame, the maritime historian here, with an exciting update from the United States. Queen Mary 2 has arrived in Los Angeles, and before docking, she rendezvoused with the RMS Queen Mary, which has been permanently moored as a floating hotel since she retired from Cunard service in 1967. The early morning arrival, which took place on the 2nd of February 2026, occurred 20 years since the two ships first rendezvoused, when Queen Mary 2 was just new to the cruising scene. QM2 is the first true transatlantic liner built in a generation. Entering service in 2004, she was constructed to take on the transatlantic route and replace the iconic QE2 on that North Atlantic passage. Prior to QE2, that passage had been run by two iconic Cunard queens, the RMS Queen Elizabeth and her sister ship, the RMS Queen Mary. Queen Mary was retired in 1967 after a long and distinguished career which saw her involved in transporting a large proportion of the people involved in the D-Day landings. The ship was used extensively as a troop carrier and then a transatlantic liner throughout the 1950s and 60s. However, on her retirement, she sailed on her longest peacetime voyage and arrived in Long Beach, California, where she was converted into a floating hotel and remains open to this day. Queen Mary 2 was named for the original RMS Queen Mary, and so the two ships together is not just a rare event but also historically significant. It's not very often that you get to see a current Cunard queen meet her namesake. The original Queen Mary was launched in 1934 and named by Her Majesty Queen Mary, the Queen Consort of King George V. Queen Mary 2 was christened in 2004 by Her late Majesty Queen Elizabeth II and named Queen Mary 2 in honour of the original Queen Mary. Now, Queen Mary as a hotel is a unique experience, something that you don't get to experience very much around the world. In fact, you could actually visit more ancient pyramids today than you can retired ocean liners, with only a handful left in the world that allow you to go on board and spend time on board the ship. Having recently visited RMS Queen Mary and stayed overnight on board, I can personally say that this is one of the most remarkable experiences that any cruising or maritime history buff could possibly partake in. The ship celebrates its 90th anniversary of its maiden voyage this year in 2026. And so to be able to stay overnight in relatively original conditions on board a 90-year-old ocean liner is something that you should definitely try out if you are in the area or if you're planning to stay in Los Angeles or Long Beach. It's well worth spending a night on board the ship. The rendezvous of the two Queen Marys was also joined by a Carnival Cruise Line ship, which you can see in the footage now, which operates out of the Carnival Cruise Line terminal located just near the RMS Queen Mary. The main terminal building is a domed structure that was originally built to house the Spruce Goose, a large aircraft that was created by Howard Hughes. That aircraft has since been moved to another museum, and the dome has been turned into a cruise terminal, so it must be pretty awesome to board a cruise ship right next to the Queen Mary. Queen Mary 2 made this rendezvous arrival into Long Beach, but then ultimately went and docked at the Los Angeles cruise terminal. She continues her world cruise, which will see her make a trans-Pacific crossing before arriving in Auckland and then onwards to Australia. And I'll actually be joining the ship during that later passage, when she's in Australian and New Zealand waters, to give a series of lectures on board. The lecturers on board the ship on this particular voyage were Bill Miller and Dr. Stephen Payne. Bill Miller, of course, is an iconic and very famous maritime historian with fantastic lectures and also over 100 books published. He's quite remarkable. Stephen Payne is the designer of the Queen Mary 2, and given that the ship had just transited the Panama Canal for the first time, it was very fitting to have him on board as the guest lecturer on this passage. Dr. Payne will be speaking on board the RMS Queen Mary on the 3rd of February in a special event designed to commemorate this iconic meeting of the Queens. So were you there in Long Beach as the two ships met? Or were you there last time the two ships met 20 years ago? Let us know what you think of the meeting of the Queens in the comments below. As always, a huge thank you to our channel members. Your support is what helps make these videos possible. If you'd like to join the crew and get your name on the screen like these great people, please do so by following the link in the description below. It would be great to have you on board. As always, don't forget to check out my Substack, The Maritime Historian, for more in-depth articles about maritime history, including plenty of articles about these very ships. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I hope to see you on board. This video is brought to you by me and my new book, The Evolution of the Passenger Ship. In The Evolution of the Passenger Ship, we've brought years of research together to create a book that takes you on a journey from the earliest sailing ships right the way through to the modern behemoths that we see today. The Evolution of the Passenger Ship is available at all good bookshops, and if you buy a copy, you help us by supporting the channel.